kind of what we expect to do.
Dan, what do you think about what Bruce Arians just said there?
That's a question that the fans at home are allowed to ask. Why can't they do that? Like, as the coach, your job is not to tell us the problems, it's to figure out what the solutions are. If you watch the first half to the second half, two things. The protection plan in the first half is very bad. It has been all year. And then the details and how they do things in the first half compared to the second half are night and day. This is the protection plan. 5 guys protecting, 5 guys up at the line of scrimmage that show as blitzers. Now, if those guys drop out and someone off the ball comes, what's the plan protection-wise? If that backer blitzes, how are we going to handle it? With a mobile quarterback, you can pick your center. With a stationary quarterback, which what Tom is, that offensive lineman needs to push out. Watch Jensen, the center. They're going to try and pick him underneath to get that blitzing linebacker. You can't do that with the stationary statue-type quarterback. That's a bad plan. Fast forward to the second half. Very similar look. You got people up in the line of scrimmage. Someone's going to drop out. Some off-the-ball defender's going to come. Let's not try to be perfect. Let's just get blockers out in front, catch the snap, kick the screen out there, and let players go make plays in space. This happened, listen, 3 times in the first half. There was a very poor plan for protection when it came to the communication of the offensive line and the detail than how they did it. Tom Brady got hit or sacked. 3 times in the second half. Very similar looks, and they go perimeter screens and equal like 60 yards. That is coaching. That is nothing different than the plan going into the game being poor. Finally, someone at halftime makes an adjustment, and the execution is better. Then if you watch the route running in the first half, the details are bad. They're sloppy. Watch the route running in the second half. They're crisp. They're sudden. They win. There's the solution, Bruce Arians. Get them to do it for 60 minutes.
That's great, poignant points, Dio. And obviously, the second half adjustments had to be something in order for them to go on that run. But to me, I'm just layman's terms. I looked at the second half and I said, you know what? They decided that they're going to get their playmakers the ball and they're better than the defenders for Atlanta. If you look at the second half, man, it was Mike Evans, right? Your best wide receiver. I know we had all these discussions about Godwin and AB and all of these weapons. Mike Evans is your best one. And then you get Gronk here on a one-on-one. This ain't great play calling. That's just your better player winning. And then AB gets matched up on a guy, gets behind him on the second level. Brady drops it off. So I get it. I get the protection adjustments. I understand all of that. But what this team did in the second half to Atlanta is said, our skilled guys are better than your defenders, and we're going to give them an opportunity to make plays. And I think that's the most frustrating thing about the Tampa Bay Bucks. Like, what if you coupled that with scheme early in the game? What if we saw some different type of stuff, intricacies as far as offensive and how you attack people? It would be completely different coupled with that talent. But they hadn't seemed to do that. I ain't expecting them to do it. I'm just expecting them to get their playmakers the ball and let them do their thing.
It feels like we keep having the same conversation about the Bucs, like a little bit of a broken record, right? Like this is not the first game in which they've come out flat at the beginning. It's not the first game in which what Marcus talks about, getting the ball to the right playmakers in space, that hasn't happened early in games. But I do want to put a slightly different spin on it, which is we spent so much time talking about this offense and how it needs to be fixed. Meanwhile, as we're so dialed in on all of the problems with that side of the football, the defense has kind of been skating. Since week 9, this defense has struggled. In this game, in the first half, as bad as the offense was, the defense might have been worse. Now, through those first 8 weeks of the season, this is a defense that ranked second in the NFL in pass rush win rate, which is how often you beat your blockers in 2.5 seconds or less. Since then, they've ranked 20th. They've been in the bottom third in most metrics, and there's several reasons for that. Losing Vita Vea was huge. It took a second for his loss to kick in, but that is one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. He was extremely disruptive. But I think what we've also seen is this secondary is so dependent on the pass rush getting home. And when they don't get home, you see coverage busts. You see guys getting beat. It's different cornerbacks every week. And they're no longer good enough to carry a lackluster offense in the beginning of games. This was one of the most dominant defenses in the NFL. I can't say that anymore.
Dan, we've got like 10 seconds. You're mentioning the second half adjustments. Is Tom Brady making those adjustments? Who's doing that?
I mean, it's certainly, there's some moments, like the perimeter screen, we know that was a big part of Tom's game in New England. I honestly think it's just going into halftime and figuring out, okay, this isn't working, we got to do something different, and they're definitely playing with more urgency in second halves. They're not going to be able to do that against Green Bay, New Orleans, or Seattle. They got to get it fixed to start football games.
All right.